You're listening to the Screenmen Society Podcast, where nothing on screen will ever go unseen. Here's your host, Jack Clayton.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Screenmen Society Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jack Clayton. Today is a pretty big day for us here on the podcast as we are officially starting our first ever tournament. It's something that I want to make a regular thing, but with March Madness going on right now, it seemed like the perfect time for us to start one up. And to me, there's no better tournament for this podcast to start out with than the one that is for Best Director. But before we get into that, let's see who we've got with us today. First up, he's my partner in crime, Kevin Burke.
Hey, guys.
And also, he needs no introduction, my friend and yours, Abel Velasquez.
How's it going, everybody?
So as I said, this tournament is between 32 different directors, and thanks to our good friend John Spurgeon, he took the liberty to organize the bracket and seed all the directors, so mad props to him. But before we get into this, I want to let you guys know that you can actually follow along with this tournament. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Screenmen SOC, so be sure to check that out. So here's how this is going to work. Today we are only going to be covering the first round of the left-hand side of the bracket. And on the next episode, we'll do the first round of the right-hand side of the bracket. After that, we'll continue doing our regular podcast episodes, but before we start each episode, we'll do like a match or two. This will continue on until we get to about the final four, where we will dedicate a whole final episode to complete the tournament and crown our winner. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Cool. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So our first matchup is going to be more or less for the meme, as John put it when he sent me this. It's going to be Steven Spielberg versus Michael Bay.
This is like a classic 1 seed versus a 16 seed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess like 8 seed in this case.
Yeah.
Since we don't have 64 teams or directors. But yeah, so Steven Spielberg versus Michael Bay. Wow.
Genius.
This is a great matchup right there.
Yeah.
You know, I think, I don't know who else, we would start off, talking about here.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. I mean,
the man, the legend.
Yeah, that's right. Steven
Michael Bay.
Spielberg. Hey, you got me with that one. Good job.
No, I mean Steven Spielberg is legendary. Like his influence on film, from his blockbusters, from the way he can do literally any genre, any film, and still have a uniqueness to it that is so different from everybody else. And like you can watch his movies at any age. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not one of those movies where as it gets older in time, it loses its like feeling. Like a lot of movies, like his are timeless. Like they stick and they are relatable forever.
He's incredible, making blockbusters, making family, adventure films, and then, serious, wartime epics like Saving Private Ryan and like Schindler's List. I mean, man, he's just diverse.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, Michael's Bay's credit, right?
Yeah,
he has changed like action movies. Period.
That's true. He has a very, I think, he's like the laughing stock of like the film community, but in reality, the truth is that,
he also does have some solid movies under his belt.
Yeah, with like Transformers and like
Rock.
The Rock.
The one with Sean Connery and Nick Cage.
Yeah. I forgot that movie even exists.
Yeah, it's a great one.
He also did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He didn't actually direct that one. He produced it.
Didn't?
Yeah, he didn't direct that one. He produced it.
Yeah.
Then refuse my statement. He loses.
He's bad. Well, look, the guy has, he has great, he has his signature, style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can always tell when it's a Michael Bay film. You got the dudes explosions, got guys with the upward shot of them coming out of the vehicle with their sunglasses on. Like, I mean, come on, that's like in every single movie. Like, that's just like.
He also did do Bad Boys and Armageddon.
Also, product placement.
Oh yeah,
product placement. He has changed product placement forever.
And let's be real, the first Transformers movie is pretty fun. Out of all the ones in the franchise.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's the one that at least focuses on actually being a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Where like the other ones are slowly turning into like weird. Michael Bay wants to just be as weird as possible.
Yeah.
I would be honest with you. The first 2 Transformers movies, I could watch those like those are like guilty pleasure for me.
I hate the third one, but the fourth one is a guilty pleasure for me. I don't know what it is about the fourth one, but there's just something about that one that I really like. I have not seen The Last Night, and I refuse to watch it.
I haven't seen it either, but I mean, out of all of, like the ones that have come out after Revenge of the Fallen, The Last Night is kind of like the most intriguing to me because like it's supposed to be like medieval or whatever. And that's
but it
sick.
also looks like a hero versus hero type plot, which we've gotten a lot of lately.
Yeah, I didn't get it with like the Fast and the Furious and like Civil War. I don't know what in Batman vs
Civil
Superman.
War and Batman v Superman makes sense because those are actual things the actual storylines that they're following. But like Fast and Furious, come on now.
Yeah, that was just I don't even know. It's like they ran out of ideas, and so like
Fate
what is shocking?
Fate of the Furious and The Last Night came out around the same time
Yeah.
in the same year.
It's like the
If that
same
tells you
plot.
anything. Yeah, exactly.
It's like classic face of the franchise hero turns evil, blah blah blah. Okay, what? How did we even get? Yeah,
I don't know.
Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg
Yeah,
moves
Steven
on.
is good.
regardless.
It's a blowout win for Spielberg. Everybody, 83 to 43.
Shut out, yeah.
Good job. All right.
All right. Well, next up, we've pitted brothers versus brothers. We've got the Russo brothers versus the Coen brothers.
It's interesting because they're completely different styles.
Yeah.
Because Coens are like more artistic, like they're more for like film and like detailing like drama and like
Right.
these other type of stories.
So thus far, the Russos have made some good movies, and the Coens have made some great films.
They've made your favorite, The Big Lebowski.
Oh my gosh, give me a break. Look, the Coen brothers, honestly, they're going to move on, obviously. But that's only because the Russos have made a couple Captain America movies and like an Avengers film.
To be
right?
fair, they are still. I don't know how fresh they are to.
well,
the
they
Hollywood
did
scene.
TV before.
That's
right?
true.
And I want to see what else they do, right?
Yeah, I
Because
think they'll have some
I
good
think
projects.
Marvel, like they found their fit in Marvel, right?
Definitely.
But I think when their times come up, because I think that's the thing with Kevin Feige, like he loves his directors, but eventually we know that they're gonna move and do something else.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I think when that happens, it'll be interesting to see how they come back with something different and really make those films really good. And I think when that happens, then we can have a more discussion of the Russo brothers as a full like
Right.
force of direction.
To be fair to them, they have completely changed the game that is the superhero genre.
Totally.
They saved
Yeah.
the MCU from like utter destruction. Honestly, they really did. I don't think it's too bold of a statement to say that they saved the MCU.
Yeah.
Like I really
'cause
don't.
their first one was The Winter Soldier, which came right after both Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World.
Right.
So-
Well, I'm just more so talking about their direction. They were like, hey, we should do this, with Civil War, and then we should do this, for the final 2 Avengers films. And then, like, that vision is what, we're getting on screen, and that's what is, like, hitting so hard, and that's why it's so good,
Yeah.
It's, like, 100% guaranteed for Endgame to be, like, a good movie at this point.
And also, I want to talk about, like, there's always been the argument that the Marvel movies never have, like, any lasting stakes or payoff. But I feel like the Russos, with all 4 movies that they've done, there's been some sort of lasting impact.
Sure.
Like, you had the
yeah,
destruction of
for
Hydra,
sure.
then you had the breaking apart of the Avengers, and then you have the death of the Avengers. And so now, with Endgame, we'll get to see,
and
like,
more death.
even more death coming
Yeah,
soon.
it's going to be glorious.
Fun fact, well, this may or may not change your mind. They actually directed the Super Bowl trailer that they did for Coca-Cola a few years ago that had the Hulk and Ant-Man in it.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, they directed that trailer.
that's funny.
And you're talking about how what they'll do outside of Marvel. This has nothing to do with it, but I think it's interesting because I saw this a few weeks back. Their next project after Endgame is going to be another movie with Tom Holland in it. Completely, it's not going to be Marvel related at all, though. But it's reading the synopsis. It's an army medic suffering from PTSD becomes a serial bank robber after an addiction to drugs puts him in debt. And it has Tom Holland. Tom Holland is the only credited actor right now, so that'll be interesting to see what they do afterwards. But yeah,
these guys, like, they're great with action sequences and they're great with story. Okay, and that's all you need. Like, I know that, what is it? Christopher Marcus, or what are the guys that the writers for all the Avengers films are, like, the same guys? I know that they're the credited, whoever it is. I know, somebody look it up. I know that they're the credited writers for the films, but the Russos are the ones that pitch the ideas to Kevin Feige. They're
Christopher Marcus,
Christopher Marcus, whatever. Yeah, so he does the script or whatever, but the story, the Russos, man, they're the ones that they've constructed probably the greatest team up in the history of cinema. So yeah. Really hard to do. A lot of characters, really hard. Infinity War was great. There's tons of characters. Ridiculous. It was bonkers. Endgame is going to be even more characters. So that's just an incredible feat. And the fact that they are directing, probably Endgame is going to be the biggest blockbuster movie of all time in history. Hands out. It's going to beat Infinity War. So
it better beat Avatar.
Yeah, I hope it does too, honestly, because James Cameron's movies are like the only ones. Well, I don't know.
I'd like to see how it does versus Detective Pikachu, because internationally that movie is gonna wreck.
Oh yeah, Detective Pikachu.
It'll be, because like domestically it's doing pretty well. Like, a lot of people are interested to see it, but international, like, when you remember Pokemon Go came out, like, that game took everywhere. It wasn't just the United States, like, everywhere. That was super popular. So it'll be interesting how it compares to that. But yeah, Endgame is going to be huge. It'll easily make $2 billion. I'd be surprised if it didn't do that by the end of the first month.
Yeah, it's the whole entire month. By the end of May, Endgame will have $2 billion, which is insane, which is absurd. But by the end of May, it'll for sure have $1 billion by the end of May. But by like June, it'll have $2 billion. Which is just that's absurd.
Well, Infinity War got $2 billion just by its like the extended time that it was out in theaters. So, I mean, if it gets there even quicker than that, that would be super impressive.
All right, but we got to make a decision: Russo brothers or Coen brothers?
Well, I'm gonna go with Coen brothers just because they have some masterpiece films under their belt, like No Country for Old Men and Fargo. True Grit's really good.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers, just their style, their artsy, every single thing. When it comes to writing and like originality, they're just, they're really, really up there, and the Russos have done great with, the Avengers and stuff like that, but maybe this will be a more fair competition later down the line when the Russos have a little bit more time to, put their foot in, some other waters and test out some different, directing abilities that, aren't superhero movies. So, but for now, I guess I'm going to go with Coen. I think you're going to go with Coen too, yeah.
I probably would have gone with the Russos just because it's probably the only chance in the tournament that I can use the Marvel fanboy excuse, but Coen brothers move on regardless. Next up, two entirely different directors with two entirely different styles. This one's going to be hard for me. I don't know about you guys.
God, yeah.
We've got Quentin Tarantino versus Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, this one's difficult because, Quentin Tarantino, he has his style, and I think that's what's really the thing that people either really love about his movies or really hate about his movies.
That's true.
Because he's a polarizing director. There are some that love him, and there are some that are like, get him out. Like, they just don't. And it's because his style is very the same, right? There are critics that, his movies are kind of the same. They don't do necessarily a lot of different things, but like his action, the way he shoots action is so different from everybody else. His storytelling in the way where it's so unorthodox, where he makes things different from like Django Unchained and like a lot of these other really good movies, Pulp Fiction obviously, and a bunch of like just amazingly shot characters that have really great motivations. Like he is a textbook for being able to really write characters really well. And he in some ways, like, he obviously gets a lot of credit for a lot of those things and his writing ability. And I think that's what really sets him apart. When you look at Robert Zemeckis and his films, it's sort of like the Steven Spielberg kind of thing where he's not just in one box. He does so many different things. Like, you look down the list, he did Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Castaway, Polar Express, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like all of these other movies that are just phenomenal. Like Flight, like dramatic, Denzel Washington. Like, he works with so many different talents, and there are all so many different movies. And it, like, for me, when a director is able to go with whatever genre, right? They have a talented mind to be able to fit wherever they want to. I think that's so impressive. And it's not that Quentin Tarantino maybe couldn't do that, but it's pretty clear when you see all of his movies that they follow a similar format. They're all kind of the same style. But that's a signature, and that's not anything against him. But I think when you're comparing two directors, I think one that has more diversity.
I agree. I for sure think that Robert Zemeckis is more diverse. Yeah. You know,
I agree.
He can do a lot of stuff. Quentin Tarantino likes his own projects, and he has Zemeckis beat on originality, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, the fact is that Quentin Tarantino, without his same formula for all his movies, guy wants revenge, something random happens that has nothing to do with his revenge and chaos ensues, but then character gets revenge. I mean, like, his movies are always, like, I don't know, without the gore and, like, the shock value for some of the scenes, like, some of his movies just, like, I don't know, they like to be stagnant, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this isn't fair. I'm not a fan of Quentin Tarantino, and I can recognize the fact that he has made some great films. Like Django Unchained, I think that is a good movie, okay? And I think the Kill Bill movies are really original, and I don't hate those movies. I don't love them, but I think that they're fun, and I think they're a good time.
Right.
But, like, I don't know.
It's not your style.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the blood and gore and stuff like that. Yeah. Like Inglourious Bastards, like it has like a couple great scenes in that movie. And those scenes are great because Quentin Tarantino is great at getting great actors to, you know, act for his movies. Yeah. So that's good directing, you know, on his part. And to be honest with you, we would get crucified if Quentin Tarantino didn't move on over Robert Zemeckis.
I don't know, though. I'm a little more partial to Zemeckis just because
I think all three of us are, but what I'm saying is, like, I think it's kind of unfair because I don't like Quentin Tarantino. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't like him, okay? I think that he has some good opinions about, like, movies just in general, like when he talks about them, you know. I don't know what has he said before. He said stuff like, yeah, I think that, you know, kids should be able to watch rated R movies, you know, no matter what or whatever. You know, he has a point to that, you know, in my opinion. I watched a lot of rated R movies, you know, when I was little. Not a lot of super gory, you know, they just had mature content that helped me kind of, you know, like, oh, wow, blah, 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 you know. I don't know. Quentin Tarantino, oh, man, his movies are just, oh.
You know, it wouldn't be a tournament without a few upsets, so I'm going with Zemeckis.
You're going with Zemeckis.
I'm going with Zemeckis.
No, I'm telling you right now, if we allow Zemeckis to move on over Quentin Tarantino, that's like the upset of this, like, entire tournament, like, already, like, in round one.
Controversy feeds. I'm going with Zemeckis. Abel.
This is like
what say you?
This is like a 2 seed being upset by a 7 seed right now.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's actually what the seeds was.
It's just like, I understand that I think a lot of people love Quentin Tarantino, and that's the thing is, like, his style is very unique, and so many people love that. But at the same time, like, you know, there are so many movies that when I see from Robert Zemeckis, they're just unique and completely different. And, you know, it's going to be tough because all of these, we can all acknowledge these directors are super talented. Everybody on this list is incredible. But what ultimately, in my mind, when the talent of a director, if you're able to do many different things, to me that sets you apart from a lot of other directors.
I
that
agree
can't
with
do
you.
that.
I agree
so
with
for
you.
me, I will vote for Robert Zemeckis.
No way. Zemeckis just upset.
Zemeckis just beat Quentin Tarantino.
Wow, how do you guys like that? How you like that, America? Listen,
To be fair, though, Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump is one of the best movies
Yeah.
in American film history.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest with you. That's one of the best of all time. I have never met someone that said Forrest Gump isn't a great movie.
Yeah, I don't think
I have never met someone.
If you hate Forrest Gump, are you even American?
Are you even are you even a person?
love film?
Are you even a person?
Do you even watch movies? Like, wow.
Zemeckis moves on.
I'm shocked right now. I
Yeah.
can't believe that we'd actually do. I thought Hamza would have been here and he would have been like, "No way, bro. We're not letting
Yeah, but John would be happy because
John would
he
be
hates.
extremely happy.
Yeah. No offense, America, but Quentin Tarantino is overrated, and he uses the same, plot devices throughout every single one of his films, and he just uses shock value.
That being said, though, I am excited for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I am too. Okay, I think everybody is, just because, again, he has good actors in his movies. But yeah. Anyway,
So yeah, Zemeckis moves on.
Zemeckis moves on. Wow, that's good. Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good.
All right, next up is another interesting round. We got Wes Anderson versus Mel Brooks.
Wow, this is pretty tough, Mel Brooks.
I'm going with Mel Brooks too. This one isn't hard for me just because I love Spaceballs
Listen,
and Men in
Wes,
Tights.
these are two totally different kind of directors. Wes Anderson is a master, though. Like, oh man, this is hard, man. Because
John would be
furious right now.
Let's speak for Hamza and John. Okay, Hamza and John would both choose Wes Anderson. You know,
Probably,
they both love like Grand Budapest Hotel, and they both love like Fantastic Mr. Fox. I loved Isle of Dogs.
I loved
was
Isle of
a
Dogs.
great movie, man.
Should I call John? I think he's at work right now, but should I call him and
Call John right now. Let's see what John.
Yeah.
Let's see what John has to say right now. Look,
give us your top line of why Wes Anderson should beat
guys.
Mel Brooks.
I'm not gonna pick against Mel Brooks because Young Frankenstein is one of my favorite movies of all time. But the problem is, we're really out here calling John on our podcast. Wow.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Live. Our
We'll see
first
if-
live feed.
Woo.
Put it on the compilation of times we.
He may be at work right now, so he may not pick up.
In which case, we just cut this part out.
No, I'll keep this in here.
Yeah,
You'll
let's
keep
keep
it in
this
if he
in.
doesn't pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't cut parts out.
We don't cut.
All right, look. He's not gonna pick up. But
Yeah.
if he did, it'd be funny because he'd say Wes Anderson, and he'd be like, "Who the f is even Mel Brooks?" And I'd be like, "Dude, look, oh my gosh, this is so hard because Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein is like one of my top. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, like hands down.
Yeah.
Like I love Gene Wilder, and I love that movie like so much. Just like that sort of, it's just a comedy that doesn't, you don't see anymore on, any screen really.
Right.
Like that sort of like almost slapstick, like, oh man, this is hard. It really is.
Should we think about our brethren who can't be here right now due to work and other conditions?
I mean, I guess we could, but like, I don't know. With Mel Brooks with me, like it's like I love Spaceballs. I love Young Frankenstein. I don't love Blazing Saddles, too much.
Mhm.
Men in Tights has its moments.
Let's look at the negatives because we can look at positives a lot, right? Wes Anderson's great. He does these unique style movies that are sort of, strange, but they work. That's what Isle of Dogs was. That's what Fantastic Mr. Fox was, and like Grand Budapest Hotel is unique, and that's what's really cool about Wes Anderson is that he's unique. There's no other director that has like his weird type of vision and creation of a movie.
Have you guys ever seen Moonrise Kingdom? I've never seen Moonrise
I've
Kingdom.
seen like the first 5 minutes of it because I think it was on after a movie or something that we were watching on like HBO or something. But I've never seen the full movie. I'll be honest, I am not all too familiar with stuff that Wes Anderson has done.
Because I feel like most of his movies have gained in popularity over the past few years, essentially.
Especially when Grand Budapest won literally everything.
Yeah.
At the Academy Awards.
I mean, it's a fantastic movie. Yeah. Has Mel Brooks won an Oscar?
Mel Brooks, I don't know.
know.
I don't know that he's won an Oscar. I would.
He has. It was Best Writing for the Producers back in 1967. He was nominated for Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles.
Those came out in the same year, by the way. It's 1974.
They did.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna go with Mel Brooks just because I love Spaceballs. Men in Tights is good, solid. I've never seen The Producers. Never. I've never seen it. But yeah, Young Frankenstein's one of my favorite movies of all time. So
for the fun of it, I'll say Wes Anderson.
Well, Fantastic Mr. Fox is pretty fantastic,
Yeah.
but I mean, let's be honest with you. Like, Young Frankenstein is funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny.
It's down to me, and I'm thinking because I've only seen like a handful of movies from both directors. I haven't seen Young Frankenstein.
Jack, you haven't seen Young Frankenstein?
I have not seen Young Frankenstein.
Well, I guess you have to go with Mel Brooks because you've never seen it. Young Frankenstein, dude, Young Frankenstein is a great movie, man. It's so good.
At the same time, John will kill me. Like, he'll literally kill me.
You literally cannot. Mel Brooks is not losing to Wes Anderson right now. That is not happening. Listen. Every film guru ever will tell you that Wes Anderson is a better director than Mel Brooks. But listen, hey, don't make that face. Jack, I swear to God, if you pick Wes Anderson over Mel Brooks right now, I will never forgive you, ever.
I'm going to text John real quick and just quickly apologize. Mel Brooks.
Who is he going to face next time? Oh, Robert Zemeckis.
Mel Brooks moves on. I'm sorry, John, if you're listening. I'm super sorry, but I tried. I tried to think of a good argument. I just can't, though. So Mel Brooks moves on.
That's right. My peeps are moving on. I would say that's an upset right there.
To be fair, though, I do love Spaceballs, so I can't really. I'm not upset with that at all. Yeah. Spaceballs is amazing.
All talented directors. Let's reiterate. All talented
exactly.
directors. All great.
Oh, yeah.
Made great movies. We all love them. They're amazing. All right, let's continue.
All right. Well, next up, this one, I don't know. It may be tricky, maybe not. Depends on your thoughts. Abel, I know that you're going to be very passionate about this one. It's James Wan versus Alfred Hitchcock.
This one is not fair, and I wish that they would have matched up differently.
I agree.
Because James Wan is one of the best up-and-coming directors.
My God.
And, I mean, well, Alfred Hitchcock is like, he's like a 1 seed. He's a 1 or 2 seed.
I think we have him as a 1.
Okay, well, he's Alfred Hitchcock, he's Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. It's literally like a legend versus a person that is
slowly becoming a legend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's what's unfair about it is like James Wan, his vision of his movies he has such a brilliant mind of making complex stories and really building them and really making them have a payoff when you look at the first Saw and it's, talking about like, morality and like, should a person that commits wrong to other people, like rob them or, decide not to, treatment on them or refuse to help them and like all of these other horrible things that they kind of get away with. Like, is it right for you to basically judge them and like make them fight for their lives? And you see movies like The Conjuring and Insidious, movies like horror movies that are different from so many other movies in the genre and that are different and like talking about different styles and different stories in horror. And then you have like your Aquaman, which he just did, which is also another really great movie. And his style, and again, he's becoming one of those directors that isn't pinned to one genre.
Right.
Like he had his foundation in horror, but he's like, let me do something else because I can do that. And so like, and that's what I think will really look and that's where Alfred Hitchcock is, right? Because he did The Birds, and he did like these other kind of more.
Yeah, his masterpiece, like Psycho.
Yeah.
Well, so his Alfred Hitchcock is, he's more refined to either horror or thrillers, because like North by Northwest, Rear Window, right. All those James Stewart ones,
sure.
But those are great movies. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is that Alfred Hitchcock, there's just two very different eras of film.
Yeah.
Okay, but the truth is that Alfred Hitchcock sort of I would argue that he set the foundation for like horror moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
The types of horror movies that people love today are the way they are because Alfred Hitchcock, with like movies like Psycho. I guess we can't really talk about spoilers in the movies, can we?
Depends on the movie.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm just, my point is that he sort of, he's like the godfather of horror. You know what I mean? James Wan, whatever, he's done some great stuff, with The Conjuring, and then, he's moved on to Fast and Furious and like Aquaman. He's made some great blockbuster movies and stuff like that. But in terms of like original, pieces, I would say that his original like imprint is on The Conjuring and stuff like that. But with the action movies, it's more kind of just like, I'm going to direct this because I'm a good director, and then boom, here we go, and then we got like some good movies, which are great. Aquaman was, is a great movie.
It's funny because it's basically like the Russo brothers thing. Like he's still so
raw,
new and raw, and he's his potential is sky high.
Oh yeah, it's to the roof.
He what he'll do in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be really great to watch.
Oh yeah,
and that'll pin him with the upper tiers of this tournament essentially. But man, like both of these directors are really great, and this is one of those just head-to-head competitions that are sort of unfortunate, but yeah, it's going to be tough. 100%.
It really is, but yeah, I guess Alfred Hitchcock has to move on because. Sorry, James. I'm sorry, Abel. Yeah. But like,
I don't blame you. I don't.
Yeah, I gotta go with Hitchcock as well.
Yep. All right, there we go.
Moving on.
Hey, maybe we should do a losers bracket so that some of these guys can like potentially
get a second chance.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. We'll consider it. After today, we'll consider a losers bracket. But yeah, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Next up, we've got two directors who have both created behemoths in cinema. It's Francis Ford Coppola versus Peter Jackson. Kevin, this one is going to be hard for you.
Yeah, this is bittersweet. Man, I tell you, because Francis Ford Coppola is one of my favorite directors of all time, not just because of, The Godfather and like Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now, I don't even, I recognize it as like a great, film. It's like that you can study that movie like you would look into like literary devices for like a classic novel. You know what I'm saying? It's that type of film, And just the fact that Francis Ford Coppola has movies like that under his belt, it's just really I don't know. He's so like Peter Jackson. It's like Lord of the Rings, and then it's like King Kong, but like I didn't really like King Kong.
You didn't like King Kong?
I did, but like at the same time, it was just I don't know. Like it was good. I like King Kong. I do. I don't not like it, but in my opinion, it's just so hard. Like I don't know.
We're watching a mental breakdown happen as we speak.
Listen. I'm trying to think of a way for this to be competitive.
Did you see the new Peter Jackson thing that he did with the World War I?
They Shall Not Grow Old.
Yeah. Did you ever see that?
I didn't see it, no. Everyone who saw it said it was boring and too long or whatever.
Which is a shame, because that concept where you're like taking this old footage and whatnot and giving it actual sound and like making it sound like you were back in that time, that's actually really interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going with Peter Jackson on this one, just because The Lord of the Rings is such a phenomenal
Listen, Lord of the Rings is my favorite movies of all time, okay? It's not even close. I love Lord of the Rings, all right? But in terms of, like Francis Ford Coppola with not just, like, The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, like I said, but, like, with The Outsiders and with Dracula.
Oh, he did do The Outsiders.
I freaking love
Your vote's already in.
Dracula.
That's true.
You push the button.
I've pushed the button on Jackson, so.
Yeah.
I love Dracula.
I'll go Francis.
Okay. Well, listen, this is. I hate you guys. Why would you do? Whose idea was it to match up these two versus each
John.
other? Oh man, because listen, Francis Ford Coppola is gonna move on because he's a better director.
He's a legend.
But Peter Jackson, he is. Oh man, I just want to kiss him. Like, Lord of the Rings is so good, and the thing is with the Hobbit trilogy is not bad. Okay, it's not Lord of the Rings. Okay, and it suffers from like George Lucas syndrome a little bit. With nitpicking and everything's more CGI and everything that made Lord of the Rings trilogy great. It's sort of he backtracks on it a little bit, and that's kind of a shame. But the Hobbit trilogy is still good, except for Battle of the Five Armies. But it's
all right. Well, with that, I guess Coppola moves on, and it's funny that you bring up George Lucas syndrome, Kevin, because our next round, another interesting one, is George Lucas versus Akira Kurosawa.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, for people who are listening who may not know who Kurosawa is, Kevin, give us a little bit of a breakdown of who that is.
Akira, he is a classical film director from Japanese film director from the like 50s and 60s and such. He's done his most notable movie is Seven Samurai. So if that tells you anything, that's what like the Magnificent Seven is based off of. That's what a lot of sort of team up movies are based off of in general. That's a great movie. He's just a classic. He's just from a different sort of era, a different era than George Lucas, but nevertheless, one of the all-time great film directors.
Yeah, it's interesting because you look at his filmography, and it's a lot of like Japanese-inspired films, which is really good because like especially during that time, like that's where we get a lot of a really great look at Asian culture and like the Japanese, these deep stories that are really interesting and that we wouldn't have gotten to see if it wasn't for him.
Oh yeah, totally. And when I think of him, his two most notable movies in my mind are Seven Samurai and Hiroshima. With his movies, it just seems like he was thinking ahead of his own like era almost. Yeah. Like those movies are just so like it's weird because they're sort of fantasy.
Yeah.
Like it seems like a dream world in my opinion. Like when I watch those movies, that's what it seems like. It seems like a dream world, which is kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Those movies are just really good, okay? That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But, that being said, George Lucas sucks, so Akira Kurosawa is going to win.
George Lucas does not suck.
I'm kidding. Look, George Lucas is good. New Hope is a really good movie. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is great, but yeah, that's it, so, okay. Anything else?
Abel, you have any thoughts?
On George Lucas?
Just on this match.
This matchup is just weird. Because we keep saying every round they're so different. There's literally no other two directors that are more different.
Yeah,
we're talking about George Lucas, the man that created just the Star Wars and like.
Okay, well can we at least break it down? That's what this is. Okay, it's the man who created Star Wars. Okay, versus a man who had some great original films from the 1950s and 60s.
Right.
Okay, so honestly, this is a battle of directors. Who is a better director? Okay, it's not even close. Peter Jackson, did great with Star Wars. Okay, it was really good. But
Peter Jackson did great with Star Wars. You want to try that again?
George Lucas did great with Star Wars. Okay, but honestly, the prequels there's so much controversy regarding the prequels and they're not good movies, and like honestly, he hasn't done a lot of other stuff. Like, what is George Lucas? What else does he have under his belt?
Those were his main credits. Were A New Hope and then the prequel trilogy.
So George Lucas is a great writer. He's not a great director.
I think that's fair to say.
I think that's fair.
Because Indiana Jones, right? I mean, Willow.
Yeah.
Wait,
What's up?
He did that?
He wrote Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones movies are Lucasfilm. Did you not know that?
I think I did know that.
Spielberg directed, Lucas written.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's where it comes together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, sorry, George Lucas, but we can't spend any more time on you because you are not a great director. You just have great ideas.
I think that's fair to say. So,
Yeah.
Kurosawa, he makes it out of the first round. I'm interested to see how far he goes
He'll go
within the rest
far.
of this tournament.
He'll go far.
Depends on who he's up against.
Uh-oh.
I need to watch Ran. That's supposed to be a really good one.
All right. It's our last match of the day. I'm going to fight hard on this one. These are two guys who do crazy things with camera work. It's Stanley Kubrick versus Edgar Wright. And I'm already putting my vote in right now for Edgar Wright.
See, Jack, I don't know why you would do that.
Because Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Baby Driver are two of my all-time favorite movies, especially Baby Driver. I remember seeing that movie and it just blowing me out of the water. I've watched that. I've told everyone, have you seen Baby Driver? Oh, you need to see that movie. There's just something about that movie specifically that is just really special. And that I just love it so much, and the work that he's done on that. Like, maybe it's just the music geek in me, but I love how everything is synced up to all the songs. And one time when rewatching it, I realized that it was at the beginning when he's walking with the coffee, like lyrics to the song show up all around him.
Oh yeah.
While he's walking.
That's a great trick.
I thought that was incredible, and yeah.
Yo, Baby Driver's gonna go down as a classic. Okay, I'm not gonna debate that. Okay, but Jack, you can't pick Edgar Wright over Stanley Kubrick.
I am though.
You are. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Well,
this is gonna be a very controversial take. I didn't enjoy 2001 that much.
2001 isn't that good. Okay?
I think it's very boring.
I'm with you on that.
I think the first half of the movie is interesting, but the second half is so boring.
It doesn't hold up. Okay, let's just put it that way. I don't think anybody enjoys that movie. You can't say that you enjoy that movie. Like, it's a great, like, it's almost like a masterpiece, I guess, with like the way the camera works throughout the movie. You feel like you're, in a like different world and a different era. But the truth is that I don't think that movie's enjoyable. I don't understand why. Like, some movies, it's like, this movie wasn't enjoyable, but it was worth it to watch because it was just so incredible with like the, like, I guess it was like a new take on film. Like, I don't know. I really don't know how to say it. Like, it's not an enjoyable movie. Okay, that's all I want to say. It's not an enjoyable movie.
But it has its merits.
But The Shining and like Clockwork Orange, Jack, I mean,
I understand that, but I don't know. I feel like Wright is just he has a much broader not scope, but just in terms of what all he's done, it just seems a lot more.
In a way, I think it's funny because Edgar Wright has a similar thing like Quentin Tarantino, where his films are limited in the sense that there aren't a lot of them, but the movies that he does, they're all uniquely Edgar Wright.
Exactly. Like you've got Shaun of the Dead,
Hot Fuzz, At World's End, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World,
Baby
Driver. Like, they're movies that are just brilliantly shot, incredible characters, incredible writing, and like, it's out of the box. Like Shaun of the Dead, he just makes fun of zombies, and you think it's like this funny comedy, which it is. But it's also layered with this serious, like, these characters are going into this traumatic experience. And Simon Pegg is amazing actor in that
incredible.
movie. He literally has to see like his dad-in-law die, and then his mom die, and it's like this weird thing where like this serious moment in this comedy movie normally in any other hands would be awful. Like you could have to imagine that it would just not work. But Edgar Wright makes it work because he knows how to make it exist really well. And Hot Fuzz is just so funny. You can quote all those different lines, like when it's for like the greater good. Like it's so weird, and like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in those two movies are just amazing. Their chemistry is amazing. Again, it just comes down to those action sequences, those weird, interesting things, and like I just love Edgar Wright. He's one of my all-time favorite directors. It is what it is, and for me, it's just like when I see his movies, there isn't a movie that I don't love about Edgar Wright. It is what it is.
Right.
You know what you got to do.
No.
You know what you got to do.
No. Abel,
you know what
listen
you got to do.
Listen to me. No. Listen. When you're talking when you're talking about Stanley Kubrick, okay? Look, who did we have? What was the upset? We had Quentin Tarantino get upset by Zemeckis, okay? Yeah. You know, that's an upset, you know what I mean? But like Abel, I'm telling you right now, man, you can't,
you know what you got to do,
Abel.
You
can't do that. This is a 1 seed versus like an 8 seed here. You can't do that. Listen, Stanley Kubrick has made masterpiece after masterpiece that span decades of American film. Like, you got to understand what you're saying. I don't know if you've seen Spartacus or Paths of Glory. Blades of Glory. He directed that. No, yeah. I don't know if you've seen like some of those great Kirk Douglas classics from the 50s or anything, or look, all I'm going to say is this, like Kubrick had, rest in peace, he had eras of film. He went through like phases, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
he directed movies and it was like this, and then he directed movies and they were like this, and then he had a more artsy take, and then he got into movies like Clockwork Orange and Dr. Strangelove, stuff like that.
One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, but like it's just undeniable. You can't deny Stanley Kubrick. Like his 2001, I think we can all agree it's not that enjoyable of a film. Okay, but The Shining is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. And it's just kind of like, how can you choose Edgar Wright, is he raw? I don't know if I'd say he's raw, but he's still up and coming.
I wouldn't even say he's up and coming. He's been around for over 10. He's been
since the 90s, right?
Something like that.
Well, he's not up and coming, but in regards to prestige, he's up and coming because the first classic movie that he's made is kind of Baby Driver. I mean, his other ones like Hot Fuzz.
Shaun of the Dead came out in 04. Hot Fuzz was 07.
That whole like trilogy or whatever, that Simon Pegg trilogy or whatever, those movies are all kind of really similar. It's sort of like watching like the Austin Powers trilogy in a way, I don't know if that's a bad, comparison there or what, but you guys, I will leave this podcast right now if Stanley Kubrick does not move on, because we as an organization will be crucified by everyone of all time ever. Okay?
Well, it's 1-1. Abel, you have the hard choice here.
Abel, listen to me.
You know the choice that you have to make.
You know what to do. Abel, think about this.
Can I look under the other? Hold on.
Full Metal Jacket. Nobody is a master of human emotion like Stanley Kubrick is. I mean, come on. Like, he's made war epics,
I'll
horror
go
films.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes, high five. Woo!
I'll go with Stanley Kubrick because of what he said, where it is a director that spans different sets of time.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that thing where I talked about before, where it's a director that does different things.
So, that being said, Jack, I don't even want to look at you ever again for almost having Edgar Wright move on over Stanley Kubrick.
I'm not happy.
You clearly have issues, buddy.
I don't have issues. I'm not happy. We're doing a losers bracket. I've just decided that right now.
Okay, yeah, now you want to do a losers bracket. Okay, fine.
I have no problem. With doing the losers bracket.
Right,
I didn't even have a problem with it. But now because Edgar Wright is out, we are doing a losers bracket, and I'm gonna fight even harder to have him get out of the first round.
I'll join that one. Yeah.
All right.
For the loser bracket? Yeah. You
But
can't,
regardless,
you can't stop me the second time.
But regardless,
my God.
well, it depends on who he's going against in that one. So I mean,
Oh, Wes Anderson?
Okay.
I'll fight John. I'll fight John for Edgar Wright. And James Wan. Oh my God, my heart would break.
well, with that, Kubrick moves on. I will be fighting even harder when we do the right-hand side because I am much more passionate about a lot more of those people on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I was looking at the right-hand side, and I was like, fine, I'll give up.
Well, that is going to wrap it up for today's matches, as well as today's episode of the Screenmen Society Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. As I said at the beginning of the episode, you can stay up to date with the tournament by either following us on Twitter at Screenmen SOC. Also, be sure to check back to future episodes to see how the tournament ends. Is there anything that you guys want to plug or?
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to DC Films and Warner Bros. For making a great movie. Shazam is really good. Go watch it.
Go check that out, definitely.
Fun time, funny movie. Yeah, check our YouTube channel. Put new videos on there.
Hopefully.
Listen to our other podcasts on SoundCloud. We have some snippets on YouTube and on our website. Check out our articles. We have a lot of things coming up for Endgame soon, so check that out.
Real quick, my mom didn't like how we talked about Tim Allen on both the podcast.
Really?
So she was not happy.
So what? Was she a Tim Allen fangirl or what?
I don't know.
Wait, was she mad?
No, she was like, you can't. I don't think you should be talking about poor Tim Allen that way.
What?
Dude, no way.
That's hilarious.
She was
sorry, Miss Clayton.
Yeah. Miss Clayton.
Okay, yeah.
Apologize.
Well, with that, I've been your host. Well, with that, I've been your host, Jack Clayton. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.